Hello? Welcome to Formula 7 Realistic. We are live here in Singapore. It is absolutely chucking it down. And strategy is going to be very important during this Grand Prix as the rain begins to get heavier and heavier. We see Casper going out on the wet, so he's not even opting for the intermediates at the start of this qualifying session. How are we all doing? And it should be a very interesting race here in Singapore. So Casper is the first driver out on track in the Aston Martin. There's also Mirko out on wets and Mitch out on intermediates. I would have thought that the drivers would come out on intermediates and try and get a lap on the board before the rain got too heavy. But these are some of the best drivers that we have to offer on track. Singapore's actually my favourite circuit on the whole calendar. Maybe not in the wet, but hey. I need to get used to this wheel. So we'll ride on board with Casper for a first lap as we go down in towards Shears at turn 1. Keeping it nice and tight to the apex. He's just trying to control the braking in the Aston Martin. Around turn 3 we go, and then back onto the throttle, and you can see him just easing off slightly and then onto the battery. He doesn't want to touch that battery too early in case of that sort of, and the snap. You can see it there as we come out of turn 5 and down towards that little kink in turn 6. He is burning that battery now in the rain as we go towards Memorial Corner at turn 7. Using the outside line as well. Doesn't want to ride too much of that curve, especially with it being wet. And in towards Stamford at turn 8. We now progress through the track as we go in towards Padang at turn 9. And then back down the straight we go, back onto the battery. And in towards the Singapore Sling for the Aston Martin driver of Casper. Their new driver, they did drop their full-time driver, the new team principal. Through turn 11 and 12 we go. And in towards the hairpin at 13. Back onto that battery again. You can see him really working the battery to his advantage as he goes in towards Connaught at 14. And look at that, just on the absolute limits of what the track is able to give you around Singapore through turn 15 and down towards turn 16. Remember, we made a few changes to this circuit a couple of years ago and took underneath the bridge out of turn 17, and then the final 2 corners at 18 and 19. Down towards the line, doesn't want to slip it out, nearly does, and Casper with a 1:46.1, and that is AMS Mirko out of qualifying. He has binned it going through turn 11 and 12, and the biggest news so far in this qualifying is that the Mercedes driver of Mirko has crashed it here in Q1. He is out of qualifying. That is massive. Crab Boy in the Williams went faster than the Aston Martin on the intermediate, so that's saying what we need to know there. Nick, who got your driver of the day last week, he's just coming out of Connaught at turn 14. So the wet conditions already taking out opposition. And it's all about confidence as Nick comes around to the line, goes P3. Confidence, stability, and consistency will definitely protrude for these drivers. And Epic OJ 1:44.2 in the Racing Bull. So reserving for the Racing Bull today, Goldman's promoted to the Red Bull seat alongside Jeffy Boy. Deadly in the Aston Martin. He's seen his teammate of Casper go P4, but he's on the wet compound tyres. Mirko obviously out. Jeffy Boy also on the wet compound tyres. And that was Zora War in the other Racing Bull, the 1:45.0. So the two Racing Bulls, P1 and P2, with just under 11 minutes of this Q1 session remaining. And then Jeffy in the Red Bull will be next towards the line as he comes around turn 18 and 19. And you can see how easy he can snap it around there. And he goes P3 on the full wets. And we nearly had a Red Bull driver out of qualifying then. Deadly in the Aston Martin. He performed so well as a reserve. He got a full-time seat. So he is now your full-time Aston Martin driver. Some drivers will have a qualifying ban next, not a qualifying ban, an engine penalty next weekend. We know that Jack, for example, I don't think Jack's racing actually. No, he's not, but he was one lap away from his engine penalty. So Parallax will obviously take that lap for him, and then he will have an engine penalty when he returns. So what about Fanfinus and Hackmore? Nick goes P2 now on them intermediates after 2 laps. Reese is on an out lap. Both McLarens still in the pit lane. What about Rafasi in the Alpine? His debut in Formula 7 Realistic going in towards turn 5. Inters are quicker, you're right. I was surprised to see wets, to be honest. So Rafasi, the Chilean driver, coming in towards Memorial Corner at turn 7 on board the Alpine. The Alpine have really struggled this season in Realistic. They've not really had stability throughout. They've had a really unfortunate run of drivers as well. So hopefully Rafasi can get some decent points on the board this evening. I remember they went quite a few races without any drivers at the start of the season. And they've just... It's just been one of them campaigns for Alpine where they've just... If they didn't have no luck, they wouldn't have any luck, you know? So, Rafasi coming out of turn 13 and down towards Canort at turn 14. Back onto the throttle. Purple sector 2 for the Chilean. And then through 15... and in towards 16, just burning that battery, letting go just before he hits the apex. Doesn't want to spin around in the rain. Yellow flag is waving again. Is somebody else struggling in the treacherous conditions? Around turn 18 and 19 we go, and Mafasi, the man from South America, goes P4 and separates the two Racing Bulls. Fanfinus and Hackmore. Hackmore has invalidated it. Fanfinus, Hackmore will be looking for redemption off the starting line this evening. We've seen how good he was in qualifying, out qualifying his teammate by 2/1000ths of a second last weekend, and then ended up getting taken on the line down towards turn 1 at Retafilo in Monza, and then he spun it, ended up down to P7, but still ended up coming back and did a brilliant job. So he'll be looking at a bit of redemption, trying to get a decent getaway down towards Shears at turn 1. And this is the 3rd race in a row now. We had... wet weather conditions in Zandvoort, we had wet weather conditions in Monza, and now here in Singapore, and it is Fanfinus in the other Mercedes. He's seen his teammate go out, and it's a 1:42.1. He's a second quicker as the track starts to just get a little bit faster through that dry line. Fanfinus went quickest. Hackmore will have to go again. Super Turbo in the Williams, and then Nick, who is looking very speedy, your driver of the day from last week, Reese in that Scuderia Ferrari, a 1:41.3, and we know how dominant he can be in that beautiful scarlet red under the night lights here in Singapore as the spotlights just beam down onto that glistening maroon. So Reese is fastest as he moved out the way for the Haas driver. What about Crab Boys in the Williams? He's just coming through sector 2 out of Padang at turn 9. You've got Rafasi and Epic OJ. Epic OJ going purple sector 2 as he comes out of Canort at turn 14 and down the straight through 15 as we head towards 16 and 17. So he'll move out to the left-hand side, dive into the right-hand side. You can see how much battery Epic OJ has used here. So he's using it at every given opportunity Around turn 18 and 19, he will just watch out for the rears, watch out for the back end, and Epic OJ goes P2 in the Racing Bull with 6 minutes remaining. Super Tube in the Williams will be next, and he goes P5. So the track is definitely getting quicker out there. The two McLarens are leaving it very late indeed, but when you're out on intermediates, you can do lap after lap after lap. There's no sort of limit to getting out and getting them dry tyres on and getting a lap out there. You can bide your time, and you can get gradually quicker through this qualifying session. Hackmore is about to come through to finally complete his lap with 5.5 minutes remaining. And the man from Belgium, under the night lights here, goes quickest once again, just in front of his teammates, as the Scuderia Ferrari goes P1. We have both McLarens at the moment in P18 and P17. Any mistakes from them, and we could see them going out in qualifying. We've already got a Mercedes out in Q1, which is the big news at the moment. Goldman's in the Red Bull, also trying to get a lap on the board as he just comes through Stamford at turn 8. Casper in the Aston Martin, now a full-time driver for them, has done a brilliant job as a reserve. Rafasi has invalidated it, he's down in P12, and Crabboy's in the Williams in P11. Parallax back on the grid, back out the pit lane, he's in P10, and Nick in the Sauber in P9. So we've got a few drivers now on laps. Maxi Block going up to P7, Super Turbo, and Mitch. Mitch has been phenomenal for the Kick Sauber team. That is a yellow flag. Who is that? I can't see anybody on the track map thus far. We do have an Aston Martin just catching up to a Haas. He's right on his tail. That is Deadly, but he's only on an outlap, so he's not blocking him at the moment. Lewis and B. Wright are both now on flying laps. Let's see what they can do. B. Wright, purple sector 1, through Stamford at turn 8, going very close to that wall. The orange of that papaya with that glistening silver as we come through Padang at turn 9 and down towards the Singapore Sling. Over the apex at turn 10 and then through turn 11, just hugging that right-hand side. And then we go underneath, well, over the top of the bridge and then in towards the hairpin at turn 13. Back onto the throttle, back onto the battery. The McLaren driver knows exactly how to navigate his way through the streets of the Marina Bay circuit. And then out of turn 14 at Connaught, the McLaren back onto the throttle. It will burn the rest of that battery. Remember, no DRS in the rain on them intermediate tyres as we swing it in to turn 16 and 17. Reese in the Scuderia has gone even quicker. He's gone P1 with a 1:40.1. This track is heating up. This is going to be very interesting. B. Wright in the McLaren, down towards line, goes fastest with a 1:39.9. What about Lewis W., his teammate? We have a Haas on the lap. We have a couple of drivers in the Red Bulls who are at risk of being eliminated here in Q1 with 3 minutes remaining of this first session. Goldman's, Casper, Jeffy, Zora Wall, Rafasi, the South American driver. We've got big names potentially being eliminated here in this first qualifying session. Incredible. Mirko's already binned it in the Mercedes. So Hackmore calls it a day. Casper in the Aston Martin is 1.3 up. I will try and get on board with some of these leaders. Here comes Goldman's on them intermediate tyres. He's just struggling. He comes through sector 3. This is really exciting for the first qualifying session. Around turn 18 and 19, down towards the line. And the Red Bull driver goes P4. And the other Red Bull driver goes P4. Takes it right out of the hands of him. And the Aston Martin of Casper will be next through turn 16 and 17 we go for the Aramco Aston Martin driver of Casper, the Swedishman, through the final two corners. Where's he going to put it? And Casper up to P7. Crab Boys, Maximot, Deadly, Parallax, all at risk of being eliminated. Deadly has invalidated it. Just under 2 minutes to go. Maxi Block is on a lap. Let's stay on board with the other Belgian driver and see what he can do. Nick is not going to do any more. And Maxi Block is up to P9. Is Nick out of Q1 here? We're about to find out. Crab Boy is also on a lap, but he's not improving. Deadly has just started. Parallax in the Haas is 1.5 seconds up. This is going to be so crucial for the Haas driver back here as he loses the rears down to the line. He's up to P10 and he is in front of the Mercedes of Fanfinus. This is quite remarkable. It looks like the Sauber is not going to make it through You've got some big names coming to the line. Rafasi is on his way out of the pit lane. I don't know if he's going to make it round. I don't think Rafasi is going to make it. Zora War in the Racing Bull has just started his final run on them intermediates. Deadly has already done 4 laps on his and he's still not able to get out of the bottom 5. Crab Boy needs to improve. There we go. Rafasi is out. He's not going to be able to improve. So the Racing Bull moves out of the way. Rafasi shouldn't retire on track, but I appreciate you actually getting out of the way. And that's what my worry was. Did he come back on track? He did. The Alpine came back on track. So Zora War, Deadly and Crab Boys. Crab Boys is not improving, so that means he might potentially be out, but it gives that safety net to Nick. Could Nick potentially get through in that Sauber? So Deadly getting a huge slipstream from his teammate. There we go. Did his teammate even see him actually? So great teamwork from the Aramco drivers. Zora War in the Racing Bull going down towards turn 13 at the hairpin. But Deadly will be to the line first as a checkered flag waves here in Singapore. And Deadly is up to P6. That means Crab Boys is out. Zora War is 2.5 seconds up. Nick waits with anticipation. Is he going to be the next driver eliminated? It's going to be either one of the 2 Saubers. Will it be Nick? Well, it's definitely going to be Nick. If Zora War improves, it's not going to be any of the 1 or 2 Saubers. It's going to be a Sauber. Oh, and Zora War makes a mistake. Nick will be watching this. Oh, and he's nearly sliding again. He's nearly lost it again, but he's done enough. He's done enough, and Nick is out. Rafasi is out. Mirko is out. Crab Boys is out. And Mitch in the Sauber makes it through by 0.5 tenth. So he does make it through. Mitchie actually got to the line to get another lap in. So there we have it. Our Q1 session is over. I just need to put this in the system because sometimes it doesn't come up with the right names. So Q1 we have B Right, and then we have the Ferrari of Reese. Then we have Lewis, Jeffy, Fanfinus, Ryan. Nope, it's not Ryan Divine, it's Goldman's. Then we have Deadly, Mitch, Dennis, Casper, Epic OJ, Supertuber, Maxiwatt, Parallax. 1 minute, Parallax. Rafasi was in the Williams Crab Boys, wasn't it? Yeah, what's his name? Cryptic, that's it. And then the Sauber of Nick. There we go. Brilliant. I'll be right with you in a second, bear with me. So we are on board with the Aston Martin driver, and Deadly will be the first to set a lap in Q2. Sorry, I didn't mute my phone. So in towards Padang at turn 9 for the Aston Martin drivers. The Ferrari just gets out of the way. Through turn 11 and 12. Oh, and he nearly loses it. I tell you what, he did a great job keeping hold of the back end of that Aston Martin as he comes out of the hairpin, and once again he seems to be really struggling. But it takes some amazing skill to drive in the rain around a street circuit. There's just something different about it, and every single time Deadly goes onto that throttle, he will be holding onto his steering wheel as tight as he can possibly grip, and he'll be snapping left and snapping right, and he'll just, with all his might, be forcing that car around this circuit to just get one decent lap on the board. And once again you see it to the line, and it's a 1:40.7. Next will be Jeffy Boy in the Red Bull. He's not waiting around this time. To the line we go, and he's about to start his flying lap. The Racing Bull of Zora War will be next. Oh, and look at that, holding on right the way round turn 18 and 19. He'll have to go a bit quicker than that if he wants to see Q3, as Maximot, the Belgium, to the line goes P2 in the house. Remember, realistic performance, so you got to think about the pace of the cars, as Casper in the Aston Martin just gives that wall a little bit of a nudge. And then around the final chicane, and it is fastest for the other Aston Martin, just in front of his teammate. What about the Ferrari? Is he finding any pace here? Reese, the current Tier 1 world champion, around, and he's saved a lot of batteries, so probably, yeah, he's going for another run there. What about the Kick Sauber of Mitch? I'll tell you what, the good thing about when it's raining is oh wow, Mitch, that is what I'm talking about. Your race can end like that. Wow. He's invalidated it, but that will be just another cool down lap. And the other Ferrari of Hackmore. But that's the good thing about the raining, is it's so unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen. The drivers leave it all out there on the track. Literally, Alvaro, that's what it reminds me of. A 1:40.2 for Hackmore, as the all goes slipping and sliding, as Jeffy goes quicker, a 1:40.0. And then the Aston Martin, again, of Deadly, will probably go for another lap. The Racing Bull of Zora War, MAGA, make Alvaro great again. I like it. Parallax in the Haas, coming out of turn 5. He's got a Ferrari just in front of him as he moves out of the way. And in towards turn 7. Down towards Stamford at turn 8. And then Padang at turn 9 will be next for F1 Parallax. Back onto the battery. And the Ferrari in the distance, just warming up them tyres. Getting ready for another run. So the good thing about Q2 is we still have a Haas driver, we still have a Kick Sauber, we still have a Williams, we still have both Racing Bulls, we still have both Haases actually. So the big talking point in Q1 is that we lost a Mercedes who crashed out at the start of the Q1 session. And it's going to be a long evening for that Mercedes driver to get through the grid. And I think strategy will play a huge part in tonight's race. About getting the strategy right, going from that intermediate tyre onto the full wets potentially. And I think that's what will catch drivers out. Parallax goes up to P7. And then Reese in the Ferrari has invalidated it. Goldman's in the Red Bull, just coming out of Canort at turn 14. And Fanfness in the other Mercedes is just behind him. He's gone purple sector 2. But it will be Goldman's to the line first, in towards turn 16 and 17. And the Oracle Red Bull driver around the final 2 corners at 18 and 19. To the line we go. That was pretty smooth. And Goldman goes up to P2, makes it a Red Bull 1-2. But for how long? And he stays there. Fanfness goes P4. So we have 7 drivers in the 140s at the moment. Extremely close on this grid. Epic OJ is on an outlap. And there is yellow flags waving there, not sure why. So Reese is going back into the pit lane. Lewis is on his way out. And so he's being right. The McLaren's... it's like watching them swimmers who just dance in like... I can't remember what it's called. Synchronized. They're very synchronized. So Hackmore has gone purple sector 2 as he comes out of Canort at turn 14 through turn 15. I just love when it's that pitch black weather, the rain's thundering down, the spotlights are on, and you see the rain bouncing off the halo with the light glistening off the Formula 1 cars as Hackmore comes through and goes fastest with a 1:39.5. A thunderous lap in the thunderous rain for Hackmore. Fanfness, is he potentially going to go again? 5.5 minutes to go here in Q2. And then we do have now the McLarens both out on track. Epic OJ as well. So here he comes, the Racing Bull driver. He got dropped by Aston Martin just last week, and now he is reserving for the Racing Bull. So big shock news, their new team principal came in and demanded a change to the order, and it was unfortunately Epic OJ, who in the past has been one of the best drivers on the grid. He was at one point challenging for world championships, and now he finds himself without a racing seat. And he's reserving for the Racing Bulls, potentially trying to fight back into a seat, trying to get his way noticed, get these team principals thinking they've made a mistake, and that is what Epic OJ is here to do this evening. So can Epic OJ put on an epic display? Yeah. Yeah, Jeffy, the thing is I lost 6 million last week. I should have done some posts, but I didn't. So I'm on 0 for budget. I cannot afford any DNFs, any retirements, any crashes, nothing. So I'm really on the limit of what I can do at this point. I just need consistency. So the yellow flag, I think, is that Haas just slowing down? I think it was. So Epic OJ will be next to the line. And where is he going to put it? With 3.5 to go. Epic OJ goes P8 and at the moment is getting through, but we do have 2 McLarens behind him. One of them has invalidated it. Here comes B Wright around the hairpin at turn 13 as the Aston Martin driver just shimmies over and in towards Connaught at turn 14 for the Papaya. So what can the 2 McLarens do, the fastest cars on the grid? And I'm pretty sure they'll get a Q3 running. There's not very often you see the McLaren out this season, and it's fastest for B Wright at 1:39.3. Super Turbo is also on a lap, but we see Reese and Lewis still yet to get a decent lap on the board, and that can be worrying because you never know what's going to happen. Super Turbo is up to P9. That is Epic OJ now on the brink of elimination. So Ackmore has retired. He calls it a day here in Q2. Lewis W and Reese know what they need to do. It is just Lewis W in front of the Ferrari, as he is going to get a slipstream from his teammate, the McLarens. Oh, wow, that was close. That was really close. That could have ended in disaster for the 2 Papayas as Reese comes through now. I mean, it worked, so they pulled it off, but my goodness, I would be squirming through my fingertips looking at that as the team principal. So around turn 11 and 12, and Lewis W will head in towards the hairpin, and he gets it pretty much bang on, back onto the throttle, and then the battery comes on. The same with Reese. And it is a purple sector 2 for Lewis W, who's got a little bit of traffic in front of him. This will be making him a little nervous with that Racing Bull just warming up his tyres in front. They've got to be a little bit aware. Lewis W will see them in front. Reese is the same. And with that dirty air, he doesn't want to compromise his car. He doesn't want to lose the rears coming through. Reese is the same. Lewis W does go up to P5 and Reese goes up to P2. They are safe. And Zora War is now going for another lap. Parallax also. Maximot will need to improve. Epic OJ in the Racing Bull and Super Turbo in the Williams, all scrapping it out for the minor positions to get into the final qualifying session. Yellow flags are waving once more. There's pretty much all the drivers out on track now. This is where it can get a little bit complicated. So Super Turbo goes through the line to start his lap. Epic OJ is up on his lap time, and at the moment that would put him around P7. Epic OJ is finding what he needs to find as he comes through turn 15 and down towards 16. So he just hugs the apex, and the Racing Bull driver knows where he needs to be in terms of time. He was 1.5 tenths up through sector 2, and he has gone to the line. It is P8. He did improve even more. So Zora War in the other Racing Bull will be the next driver to the line. The checkered flag has now waved. There is nothing more these drivers can do. This is their final runs. Mitch is now the driver on the brink of elimination. Deadly is in the bottom 5, a big name in a big car, and he will be hoping for something special. Zora War coming down towards turn 18 and 19. He doesn't want to lose the rears as he did last time, and he does it again, and he's off the track and to the line, and it's not enough. Zora War is out. Deadly in the Aston Martin. He's just coming through Connaught at turn 14. Super Turbo, what about the Mercedes? The Haas Parallax. Maxibok also coming up towards turn 14. Parallax will be next. The Ferraris are through. Here comes F1 Parallax. He slows down as he comes through turn 18 and 19, and it is not enough. Parallax is out. What about the Aston Martin of Deadly? He runs a little bit wide. He has to let go of the throttle, and Deadly goes to the line and is not through. Super Turbo is out. It is all on Maxi Block. Nobody is improving on these final runs. And Maxi Block, the final driver to the line, doesn't make it through either. And that is it. All the drivers stay where they are and are eliminated in Q2. So let's go through the second runs. So B-Right is the driver fastest in Q2, and then it was Reese, Dennis in P3, and then who was the Red Bull? That was Goldman's. And then fan finish, Jeffy, Lewis W, Casper, Mitch, Epic, OJ made it through, Deadly, Maxi, Subitrubo, Zora, War, and who was the Haas in P15? F1 Parallax, that was it. They are out. The big one being out is obviously Deadly in the Aston Martin. That was not in the script for the team. So, remaining here in qualifying, and then we are on to the race. So there's a Red Bull, there is the first driver out on track, which is Jeffy Boy. And you know what, I was looking the other day, we've had, in the last 30 days, we've had 106,000 views on our videos on Instagram, which is incredible. Talk about getting the league out there and really pushing the name of Formula 7 racing and the drivers that race in this community and the quality of drivers. That right there is absolutely incredible. Thanks, Alvaro. The community is just amazing. I love what I do. I love my Sundays. I love, you know, doing all the racing and the tears and the commentary and, you know, watching the drivers thrive and compete. And, you know, it's amazing. So, Jeffy Boy, through turn 15. You did, yeah, exactly, Alvaro. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, YouTube's killing it as well. YouTube's doing really well. I mean, YouTube's had 70,700 views in the last 30 days. So just on YouTube and Insta, there's 176,000 views in the last 30 days, just on shorts and clips and stuff. Which just gives the drivers such an amazing platform to showcase their skills. So, Jeffy Boy down towards turn 5 for the Red Bull. And we have the Ferrari of Hackmore just behind him. So this is their first runs. They'll just get that banker on the board. No, of course, Alvaro, I know. TikTok's difficult as well because you get stuck in like this 200 view thing where all your videos just get 200 views and nothing gets pushed out. But whereas in like YouTube and Insta, they push it to like the same communities, so the people that always clip the wall. Jeffy Boy's clipped the wall at turn 12. Yeah, Instagram and YouTube will push the content to people that watch Formula 1 and watch esports and stuff. TikTok don't do that. Hackmore down towards Canort at turn 14. He avoided clipping the wall, so we'll see what he can do. Yeah, you're alright, Outlaw. So Hackmore out of turn 17 down towards turn 18. Jeffy Boy 139.7. So even though he clipped the wall, it's a pretty decent lap. And the Ferrari comes through. It's a 139.8 from Hackmore. So Jeffy actually went quicker than the Ferrari, but only one of them, because then comes through is Reese with a 139.0. So these bankers are starting to heat up on this Singapore circuit. The Mercedes of Fanfurness, the Dutchman, will be next. The current reigning realistic world champion, Ghost Peter, 139.666. Some say it's bad luck, not for him. And then the Aston Martin of Casper, the new full-time driver, Ghost P5, a 140.1. What about Epic OJ in the Racing Bull? He made it through. This is exactly what he wanted to do, showcase why he should be on this grid, and he's doing that. The Racing Bull into Q3, which is pretty good going. I tell you what, one driver that is definitely underrated is Mitch in that Kit Sauber. If no big team signs him for next season, I will be utterly shocked, because he has been phenomenal. The whole Ferrari sort of umbrella have done really well with their drivers this season. So Epic OJ comes to the line and he goes P6 of 140.1, so a very similar time to Casper. Mitch in the Sauber will be next as he comes out of turn 17. Really low on fuel, so he's running a pretty decent lap here as he empties the tank. A little snap, but keeps hold of it, and it's a 140.4. Goldman's in the Red Bull, just coming through turn 12, down towards the hairpin at turn 13. Nice and tight to the chicane. And then back onto the throttle, and then he'll empty that battery tank as he slides through Canort at turn 14. Oh, what's just happened? So Goldman's goes E5 with a 140.1. We have 3 drivers in the 140.1s. So any little bit of improvement could bump you up quite a bit on the grid. So Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull, no McLarens just yet. Can we have each of the top 4 constructors in the top 4 of this qualifying grid? We shall see. Lewis W is out, so is B Right. It will be B Right first though. So we ride on board with B Right as it goes down towards Shears at turn 1, over the apex, and then just rides the sausage curb at turn 2, in towards turn 3, and then back onto the throttle. He'll use that battery as quickly as he can, as soon as he feels that grip beneath him, as we come through turn 5. You'll see it again, back onto the throttle as soon as he feels them wheels planted on that circuit, on that tarmac. He will hit that battery and then he'll release it as he goes back onto the brake pedal through Memorial Corner at turn 7, and then in towards Stamford at turn 8. Through that little chicane and then back onto the throttle, you'll see him potentially touch the battery. Not this time because it's quite a short run up to Padang, and then in towards the Singapore Sling as he uses that battery once more. Into the left-hander over the apex, and then he'll have to be a little bit careful not to get his foot down through that sort of left and right-hander as we come out of turn 12 and down towards the hairpin at turn 13. The Papaya McLaren will have to be careful not to lose the back end here. Back onto it, battery back on as we head towards Canort at turn 14. Reaching speeds of 175 miles an hour, purple sector 2, and then into the right-hander as he exits that chicane. In towards a little kink at turn 15, and then it is pedal to the metal, battery is flat out as we go at around 185 miles an hour in towards turn 16. Hugs the chicane to the right and the left, then goes really close to the wall, nearly hitting it actually as we go in towards turn 18 and 19. He will go all the way to the line with that battery, and he's up to P2 with a 1:39.0. Very close to the Ferrari of Reese. What about Lewis W in the other McLaren as he comes up towards turn 14 as well? And he just slides through there, a little bit short on the entrance, and it just compromises the exit for the McLaren driver. He now empties the tank, and remember, B-Right got up to speeds of 184, only 181 for Lewis as he goes a little bit deep once again. So he's just making a few slight mistakes on track at the moment, but he's got the pace of that car, and Lewis W is a very consistent driver down to the line, and it is P4 for Lewis W. He's in the zone of sort of helping out his teammate at the moment. So yeah, brilliant lap from Lewis W. That's what they need. Reese is now back out in that Ferrari. So we will ride on board with Reese for his lap. This will be his final run as he goes in towards Shears at turn 1. And then you can see how much more he's taking of that apex as the Mercedes moves out of the way. He uses the outside line, so a little bit of a different line to the McLaren driver as he heads in towards turn 5. He tries to keep it on the throttle a little bit more. He doesn't want to lean off too much. He's actually going for another outlap. So, apologies. Hackmore in the Ferrari has invalidated it. So, he will go for another outlap. So, what they're doing here, if nobody knows, if somebody's watching for the first time, they're going for another outlap to get less fuel on board so that the car is faster for their final runs, essentially. So they want the car as light as possible to be as quick as possible so they can set the fastest possible time that they're able to post. So yeah, you'll see a lot of the drivers do that, just trying to get heat into their tyres, trying to get the weight of the vehicle down, and then we'll see the drivers go for them final runs. I think B-Right is already on another run. He is, so this is going to be his final run, and he will be the first of the final runners. Yellow flags waving, that'll just be drivers moving out of the way. So it will be B-Right to Lewis W as the final drivers, and then you'll have the Sauber and the Ferraris behind. So B-Right heading in towards turn 6 and then 7 at Memorial Corner. And then Lewis W in the McLaren just heading towards the line now as he empties that battery tank towards Shears at turn 1. And then we have the two Ferraris. Hackmore will be first. Around turn 19. Yellow flags waving again. I think that's a Racing Bull just slowing down. It is Epic OJ and the Red Bull behind him also waiting. So they're just trying to get a little bit of space on track. They don't want to be affected by the dirty air of the car in front, and then compromise their the balance of their car going through the lap. So B-Right coming around turn 13 at the hairpin. He is slightly up on his lap time. This would give him pole position as it stands down towards Connaught at turn 14. You see that fuel tank just flashing red. That means he's very low on fuel, light on fuel. That means he's going to post the fastest time. The checkered flag has waved. Everybody has reached the line as we head towards turn 16 for the Papaya McLaren. B-Right will be first of the final runners as he goes really close to the wall again around turn 18 and 19 for the three-time world champion. Down to the line, B-Right takes pole position of 1:38.7. Lewis W will be next. Towards he's half a second up, Lewis, and he's so much better through the entrance and exit of turn 14 this time around. So we know he's got a lot more pace in the tank because we watched him on his final run. Mitch in the Sauber is currently in P10, but it is Lewis W that will be next to the line. Half a second up would put him on the front row at the moment. It would be close to the front row around turn 18 and 19. The McLaren of Lewis W goes provisional P2, and they've locked out the front row as it stands. Here comes Mitch in the Kick Sauber, and then Hackmore in the Ferrari. Mitch goes P7. Hackmore takes provisional pole. This is incredible. What about Reese in the other Scuderia? Around turn 18 and 19, he's not improving. And for the second week in a row, the Ferrari has been out-qualified by his teammate. Fanfana stays P5. The Aston Martin of Casper is currently in P9, and he puts it P6 and in front of the Red Bull of Jeffy Boy. Both Red Bulls are going to come towards the line. Jeffy Boy will be first, and he goes P6. And Mitch goes down to P9. Goldman's will be next. He's half a second up. Where's he going to put it as he slips through there? But it is Hackmore that takes pole here in Singapore. So Hackmore has taken pole in Singapore, and then both McLarens have out-qualified the other Ferrari of Reese. It's a real battle between the Ferraris and the McLarens here. This is brilliant to see. So Goldman's took P8, and then we have Epic OJ in P9 and Mitch in P10. What a qualifying session that was. I cannot wait for the race. No, absolutely, Jeffy. So I think the only concerning thing for Reese is the fact that he's got both McLarens in front of him, and the same for Fanfurness. Fanfurness is the championship leader. He will know that he's got both Ferraris and both McLarens in front of him, and he knows his teammate is at the back of the grid, so he's going to get no help from him. This is going to be a really tough race for the Mercedes team. Theo, you can, mate. I think there is a spare one, so yeah, you can. Is that? No, it's not that, is it? So we have the formation lap. Mr. Reese, you're right. Salute took a seat. He never pressed spectate, so it put him in the Alpine. I really hope that doesn't cause a problem. I really hope. Oh, Alvaro was in the session. Alvaro, you can spectate if you're already in. Whoever wants to join, Alvaro, if you want to join, there's a spare one, and if Salute and Alvaro want to join, whatever, or, well, I can't even invite Alvaro and Theo now because Salute took a racing seat. I can't believe he took a seat. Oh god, I really hope that doesn't cause any issues. Right, so formation lap. No, you're alright, Alvaro. Absolutely fine, mate. If you want to come in and spectate, be my guest. Because Reese is right. I think Salute was in last week, weren't he? I'll invite you once the race has got going. Just let me know what you want to do. Alvaro, do you want to come in? Theo, do you want to come in? Just sort it out between you or whatever. So, here we go. They are all lining up. Theo, I'm going to be honest. Salute, I'm going to be honest. I'm a little bit worried about your car being on the grid. Rafasi and Mirko, please try and speed it up because you might glitch out the lobby being so far behind. Yeah, but I don't know if you'll be DNF for the start of the race. We'll see. When you have two drivers that go really slow at the back of the grid, sometimes it glitches out the lobby, so I'm just hoping it doesn't do that, guys. If we can just try and get queued up. hoping it doesn't glitch out now. Right, okay, so no problem. So here we go here at Formula 7 Realistic, powered by Sim Racing Setups. And it is lights out and away we go. Hackmore cuts right in front of B. Right, there's Lewis W. Fanfness is already past Reese as we go down in towards Shears at turn 1. The Mercedes, the McLaren, the Red Bull are all going wheel to wheel in towards turn 3 we go. Reese stays out of trouble and is back in front of the Mercedes of Fanfness as we head in towards turn 5. B. Right chases Hackmore. Reese goes wheel to wheel once again with the Dutchman as Jeffy Boy is in P6. Deadly is up 2 places and Goldman's is down 2. Swapping positions. Here comes Mitch in the kick salver and he's now making a move on the Red Bull of Goldman's. Down in towards Memorial Corner at turn 7. And this is close racing as the Red Bull nearly goes into the back of the Aston Martin. And the Sauber's just trying to edge his way through and get some space as Parallax is battling with Nick. In towards Padang at turn 9. And this is a great race start. Brilliant stuff from the drivers in the rain to be getting through so cleanly. Look at that. Nick and Parallax go wheel to wheel and the Haas driver just has to go off track. Crab Boys is down 2 places. And at the front it is Hackmore that leads by half a second to be right. So a pretty clean getaway. Lap 1 of 31. It is Hackmore to B. Right to Lewis to Reese to Fanfness. They are all on intermediates. Strategy will play a big part in this race. So 1 Ferrari to 2 McLarens to another Ferrari to a Mercedes. Merkel will be the interesting one to see how quickly he can get through this grid. And that is Rafasi running wide. Crab Boys is through. Parallax is already into the pit lane. Did he get damage? So I'm pretty sure there'll be a safety car at some point in this race. Rain around Singapore, surely. Casper now just over a second behind Jeffy Boy in that Red Bull. What is Merkel doing? Is he able to get through the grid? He's in P16. And B. Wright is 3 tenths behind the Ferrari of Hackmore. So they are very close on track. So in towards turn 13 at the hairpin, you can see Reese. He's still behind that McLaren and he's got that Mercedes behind him. I tell you what, Reese did exceptionally well on that restart because he was really sandwiched in between the McLaren and the Mercedes. He managed just to stay out of trouble. He was tagged a little bit as well, but he did a tremendous job of getting back past the Mercedes of Fanfness and retaking that P4 position. So hats off to that race start for him. And Deadly in the Aston Martin on the back of Epic OJ, who's up to P8 in the Racing Bull. So both Aston Martins get away pretty cleanly. And the gap getting ever so closer. And that is Goldman's that drifts off into the pit lane. The Red Bull is into the wall. What has gone on with his wheel? That might cause a safety car. Goldman's has stopped just before the pit lane. And VSC is out. He's braked. He's trying to get back into the pit lane. I'm not sure what's gone on with the car there. The Red Bull is into the pits and Goldman's not a great... I'm not sure you can overtake under VSC, can you? But Deadly is through on Epic OJ. As Epic OJ comes back at him up the inside. And they're going racing under yellow flag conditions here. They want to be careful not to get a drive through. And that is Deadly back through on Epic OJ. As he had to give that position back. So the yellow flag is out momentarily, but all the drivers are still in this race. Parallax drive through, so you got a drive through as well. Wow, I'm not sure how he's done that. So Epic OJ is back through on Deadly, but he's run wide. Epic OJ is run wide and into the wall. Did he get damage? He didn't. Wow, he got lucky there that he didn't come out without a missing end plate. You see the aerial shots as they go in towards turn 13. This will really test the driver's skill and durability throughout this rainy street circuit race. So Hackmore still leading, and he's doing a great job at holding up B right. And I'm sure there'll be some team orders in that Ferrari garage this evening. Fanfinish doing what he needs to do. Casper just a little bit off, but he's the two Aston Martins are in for good positions at the moment. What about Mirko? Is he able to get through on the Alpine of Rafati, who's doing a fantastic job, by the way? The Alpine is not a very quick car, but he's managing to keep Mirko behind him. Look at the rain. The rain is just spraying up. You can see it just squirting into the visor of the Williams behind. Look at all the mist that is coming up off the track. This looks like heavy rain is coming a lot sooner than we anticipated. And this is going to be a really intriguing Grand Prix. Do the drivers pit for wets? So that is Deadly, that is from Casper. He's gone for a move on his teammate, and he's got it done. Super Turbo on Maxi Block. The Williams is up to P11. So every driver on the intermediates at the moment. F1 Parallex going for his drive-through. If we get any sort of safety car, you can get right back into this Grand Prix. So Mirko on the back of Rafati as we go down towards the Singapore Sling at turn 10, but he just has to back out. And the Alpine, great defensive racing thus far. Mitch Parallex, a 10-second time penalty now for cutting the white lines. Jesus, Mirko is from Rafati. Rafati has been overtaken in the Alpine, and now he has Nick in the kick Sauber on the back of him. But Mirko is now into a little bit of free air. He won't get much throughout this race, but he needs to take them when he gets them. What about Mitch on Epic OJ into the slipstream of the Racing Bull in these treacherous conditions around this Marina Bay circuit in towards turn 16 and 17. He's all over the back of the V-Carb as we head in towards turn 18 and 19. Is the kick Sauber going to go for a move on Epic OJ? That is Maximot that's going in towards the pit lane. The Haas driver needs to just slow down as he heads in. Is he going to swap it for the full wet tyres? Let's wait and see. Casper does have slight front wing damage as well in the Aston Martin. Maybe that was the reason for the swap as Deadly went in front of him. He is going full wet tyres. He is gambling. He's saying the conditions are a bit rough out there, Jeff. We need to get these swapped. Hackmore leads by 6 tenths to B right, a second to Lewis, and then Reese in P4, Fanfrenis in P5. This is exactly where the McLaren team need the Mercedes and the Ferrari. Hackmore is going to play such a pivotal role in this race for the remaining 26 laps that we have. So we'll see if them wet compounds start to pay off. We know it takes a lot for wet tyres to be the sort of prime tyre. So F1 Parallex is back into the pit lane. We've done 5 laps, and that could be his 3rd pit stop. It is. No, he's done a drive-through and 2 pit stops. So the gaps are starting to open up a little bit. Maximock is losing time to Goldman, so potentially not full wets yet. And that is a Ferrari, that is a Mercedes. There's a few drivers coming in for full wets. Reese is one of them. Fanfrenis is another. They're going for the undercut and they're going for full wets. Wow. So, full wets are on the championship contender. Full wets are on the championship leader. Who knows what to even go for here? Reese comes out in front of Fanfrenis. Nick is in. So is Crapboy in the Williams. They are going for the wets. The rain continues to batter this circuit. The yellow flag is out. What is that? That is a Haas that's off the track. And that is F1 Parallex Here comes AMS Mirko on Zora War, gets a great exit, and the Mercedes driver is through on the Racing Bull as we go down towards turn 7 at Memorial Corner, and Mirko is getting that redemption from qualifying. Really interesting race. I'm not sure if the wet tyres are the right tyre, but we will soon find out. It is brilliant to see. So we will have a look at the drivers that have gone full wets, and we can see the times and see if that is the right call. So Reese in the Ferrari has Fanfurness a second behind him. Addy catching up to Rafasi. Jeffy Boy setting the fastest lap of the race, and that is on intermediate tyres. Hackmore and B Wright stay out again. Wow. This is what I was going on about. You just don't know what the race is going to bring. Remember, Casper does have slight front wing damage. This is a brilliant race. We are 7 laps in here in Singapore, and look at the conditions. The rain is just battering it down. So that is Crab Boys on the back of Max and what they go wheel to wheel in towards turn 18 and 19, and the Williams driver backs out, and that is how you race side by side. Brilliant stuff. So B Wright is second behind Hackmore, but he has that safety net of Lewis W behind him, 1.5 seconds, and then Jeffy Boy, the 2 Aston Martins in P5 and P6. You have Epic OJ all over the back of Casper, who does have that very slight front wing damage, I think it is, because I don't think it's a missing end plate. It is a missing end plate. It's a missing end plate. So Casper is essentially holding Epic OJ up and giving Deadly quite a considerable gap in this Grand Prix. Reese is now starting to catch up to Rafasi. He was 13.7, he's now 13.2. Look at the rain. This is amazing. In towards the hairpin at turn 13. Hackmore sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix on them intermediates. He stays out for another lap. Was the pit stop for the wet tyres the right call? We will not know until the race progresses. Every driver still in this Grand Prix. It's things we love to see. So Super Turbo in that Williams. Zora War picks up the first time penalty. That's some good going actually after 8 laps in the rain. Epic OJ still trying to get through on Casper. They're now 4 seconds behind his teammate. So it was a strategical swap from the Aston Martin team to let Deadly go through and for Casper to hold up the drivers behind with him having wing damage. Reese is now only 12.5 behind Rafasi. So he is making up time. And looking at their last laps, the Ferrari driver 1:47.4, the McLarens are 1:45.5. That is Crab Boy out. He's in the pit lane though. Crab Boy in the Williams is out in the pit lane. So the wet tyres are now around a second quicker than the intermediates. This is going to make for interesting racing. Hackmore in the Ferrari going up towards Connaught at turn 14. Then B right behind. Lewis W, Jeffy Boy. I think potentially Reese and Fanfurness could undercut the whole grid here and come out in the lead of this Grand Prix when the other drivers go into the pit lane. So Hackmore peels off into the pits, and he is going for them wet compounds. Lewis W and B Wright have both stayed out. Is that the right call? It looks very wet out there, and then wet compound tyres are definitely the prime tyre now. Mitch overtakes both Aston Martins who go in. No, Deadly goes in and Casper. Yeah, so they are double stacking. A brilliant effort from Casper to make this work for his teammate and for him as he goes in, and they just about get it. But I think with that slight delay, Alway's getting a front wing as well. So Epic OJ will get through. Hackmore is on his way out of the pit lane, and he has come out in front of Reese. Reese has come out behind Hackmore. So Reese and Fanfurness, the undercut has not worked. There goes Fanfurness on Deadly. Wow, that is interesting now. So Super Turbo in the Williams is up to P5, and he's all over the rear diffuser of that Sauber in front of Mitch. That is a yellow flag. I think that is just F1 Parallax pulling to the side to let the drivers through again. And then we have Casper on Zora. Whoa, here comes the Aston Martin driver, and he goes later on the brakes, goes diving down the inside of turn 7, and the Aston Martin driver of Casper is through with a phenomenal overtake in the rain at the Marina Bay circuit. So, two Haas drivers, 17 and 18, and the McLarens have stayed out for another lap. Wow. So it is getting very tasty on track. Epic OJ chasing down Goldman's. And both McLarens still out on track. So is the Red Bull of Jeffy Boy, by the way. Here comes Super Turbo and Mitch. Is he going to go for the overtake now? In towards turn 7. He's not close enough to go for that move. You can see the dry line, but you can see how much rain has fell on the outskirts of that dry line. So if you just go off ever so slightly, it could be the end of your Grand Prix. There's a yellow flag again. I'm not sure why this time. Every yellow flag will be scary at this point in the race. So the interesting point is, when do the McLarens pit? And is the wet compound tyre working? Reese is 8 seconds behind Hackmore. And the McLarens have stayed out again. They are not opting for the pit lane here. So, Super Turbo and Mitch going toe-to-toe. And the Williams and Sauber keeping it very clean as they come out of turn 3. And these haven't pitted either. 11 laps down, 20 to go. Let's have a look at the tyres. So that is what tyres the drivers are on at the moment. Super Turbo getting closer. Here comes the Williams on the Sauber driver. As we head in towards turn 7, the Williams will go around the outside. Can he switch it back up the inside? Can he get back onto the throttle? He can. The rain is just too much for these drivers to try that switch back and go off the racing line. It is treacherous. And now look at Reese. He's starting to catch up to Hackmore on them wet compounds, but they are both on wets. So be right, 2.2 in front of his teammate, 11 laps in. So all the drivers, all the championship competitors going for completely different strategies. This is what we wanted to see in the race, and we are getting exactly what we hoped. So Jeffy Boy now only a second behind Lewis W. And they stay out once again. B. Wright and Lewis W. both stay out on them intermediates. I don't think they're going to pit anytime soon. Hackmore on the back of Rafasi. Remember Rafasi on them intermediates. So you can see that the wet compounds are the quicker tyre now. Super Turbo on the back of him again, and he peels off into the pit lane. The Williams is through. Mitch is going to go on to the wets finally after 12 laps on the intermediates. Sauber in P4, exactly, Mark. How are we doing? And good evening to you. So Mitch will come in to change for them full wet tyres. There we have it. Where does he come out? This is the question. Hackmore is through. He's all over the back of Rafasi. There goes Pamphilus in the Mercedes, who's losing time to race, 2 seconds behind. Deadly goes through. Goldman's Mitch. Mitch is in a really strong position. Do not underestimate how good it is to be on fresh wets after 12 laps of racing. He can go till the end now. Here comes Hackmore on Rafasi, and that Alpine driver, we've seen how good he was at defending, and this will be hurting Hackmore in that Ferrari so much, and he just needs to be careful not to try and rush this and get impatient as the Alpine goes wide. Here comes Hackmore back onto the throttle. Is he going to get the move done? The provisional race leader goes down the inside of the Alpine, and Hackmore is through on Rafasi as we go through the Singapore sling. Rafasi tries to fight back, but there's nothing left in the tank as they go dancing in the rain. The Alpine goes up the inside of turn 13 at the hairpin. They go wheel to wheel once more, but the straight line speed of that Ferrari just gets him out of danger. So Dennis is through. What a brilliant overtake, and he needed that, let me tell you. But that was phenomenal racing from Rafasi and Hackmore in that Ferrari. That is what we want to see. That's what the fans paid to see. That's why we buy our tickets, and that's why we tune in to Formula 7 racing. So B. Wright and Lewis continue to stay out on them intermediates. So does Jeffy, Super Turbo and AMS Merkel. Remember, Merkel started dead last in this Grand Prix. He's now up to P5. He could play a pivotal role as well in this Grand Prix. Goldman's on the back of Deadly, but then wet compound tyres now starting to heat up and get into that prime zone. So Goldman's on Deadly. Here comes the Red Bull on the Aston Martin. Is he going to find a way up the inside as we go down in towards turn 7? Wheel to wheel again. The Aston Martin goes wide. The Red Bull is through, and Deadly has to concede position as we go in towards turn 8 at Stamford. Goldman's now into a little bit of clean air, and Reese is still 4 seconds behind Rafasi. He will want Rafasi out the way after seeing what happened with his teammate. Deadly is back from Goldman's. Wow. We missed that one. Sorry about that, folks. So into the pit lane goes Nick. I think that was, or was that Maxi? That's Maxi. And he's just pulling out the way. He just had to slow down. And that was actually really good thinking by Maxi Bot to just sort of pull over and let that Red Bull go through. Remember, no ghosting in realistic, so that could have ended really badly. Great awareness by a Tier 1 World Champion. Our first ever Tier 1 World Champion. It'll be interesting to see when these McLarens pit. Maxi back on Inters. Surely not. You're right, Maxi's back on Inters. What is going on? The rain is still absolutely chucking it down. I would not have gone back on Inters. And that is Goldman's and Deadly. And you've got wet tyres versus intermediates. Let's see who comes out on top. The Racing Bull can get his foot down. But the weather, the rain is barrowing down. Surely this cannot be intermediates. as Deadly just scrapes the wall and Goldman's is just out in front. That is a yellow flag for somebody. I'm not sure who. And that is Nick going through on Zora War around the outside for Nick. And that was why he was driving for Ferrari for so long, because it can pick up moves like that one. Zora War, will he go for it late on the brakes? And he does a good job of pulling that racing bull to a stop as the Haas driver just moves out the way. Jeffy Boy is into the pit lane. Jeffy Boy is into the pits, so he's finally going onto them wet compound tyres. So one driver goes back into the pits for intermediates, and one of the front runners is onto the wets. Where's Super Turbo? He stays out. Mirko is also staying out. Where is Hackmore? Hackmore's only just coming around turn 16 and 17. Jeffy Boy is going to come out a mile ahead of Hackmore. He's overcut him by a mile though. Jeffy Boy is out on them wet compound tyres. I cannot believe what I'm seeing. I don't have a clue what's going on here. I cannot read this race at all. So Hackmore is 7 seconds behind Jeffy Boy after already doing how many laps on wets? 6 laps on wets, and he comes out 7 seconds behind Jeffy Boy. I'm sure the Rafasi racing had a bit to do with that as well, but my goodness, the strategy has not worked here. Yeah, the wets have definitely cost him time, Nimble. Yeah, they pitted way too early, Mr. Reese. You're absolutely right. They pitted on them wets way too early. I mean, Rafasi is in an Alpine. He's on intermediates, and Reese has only caught him by 2 seconds in 3 laps. That is a yellow flag again. That is a Haas in a pit lane, I think it is. And that is a racing bull, I think, of Zora War, who's had a mistake. Coming out of turn 3, down towards turn 5 for the V-carb. Yeah, Mr. Reese. The rain did look bad. I did think that the wets were probably the right tyre, but they've just not worked out. And that is Parallax obviously having to be careful as well, as the McLarens go through and stay out on them intermediates. So both Haas drivers having a really bad race here in Singapore. So B. Ryan Lewis, 2.5 seconds between them. Super Turbo, 25 seconds. Yeah, Mr. Reese, I didn't realise the wets were that bad. Genuinely. Reese is now starting to pick up the pace and catch up to Rafati a little bit quicker. Not as quick as he probably wants to catch up to him. And the problem that you've got now is that when these front runners do pit, they're going to be in front and on fresher tyres. So the wet compounds are already on 30% wear, 40% wear, 50% wear, and the intermediates are only... So Super Turbo's intermediate tyres, who's not yet pitted, are on 39%, yet Fanfinus's wets are on 50%. Yet Fanfinus has pitted and Turbo hasn't. It was completely the wrong tyre, and it has killed their race. Zora War is out in the pit lane. And B. Wright and Lewis W stay out for another lap. The problem is, if you push it and you end up losing it because the weather gets too bad, you need to be careful not to do that. Remember, Jeffy Boy did pit for the wets. He is on full wets now, and he is chasing down Mirko. So many people made the wrong strategy call here, and it is massive in terms of the championship. It's such a thrilling race to watch though. Yellow flag waving once again. And that is Goldman's on the back of Fanfinus. Goldman's is on the intermediates. Fanfinus is on the wets, but Fanfinus's wets are absolutely dead. But does he go on to another set of wet tyres? Because I mean, if you look at this track now, it is completely soaked. It is full wets every day of the week. But the tyres don't represent that. The strategies don't represent that. So yeah. Jeffy boy catching up to Mirko. So the wet tyres potentially getting a lot quicker. Casper's into the pits. Yeah, don't worry, Zora. It is what it is, mate. It happens. So here comes Jeffy on the back of Mirko. Reese is not catching up to Rafasi. This is not good for these guys. Ferrari were in such a strong position at the start of this race, and it's just not worked at all. Not even in the slightest. The Haas is back in the pit lane. As F1 Parallax back in the pit lane. I'm sure, so that's his 4th pit stop and a drive-through as well. So that's 5 pit stops. That is Goldman's through on Fanfurness. Goldman's on the intermediates, he's through on Fanfurness in the wets. He is slipping and sliding everywhere though. And that is Fanfurness going back into the pit lane. So before Super Turbo, Mirko, Lewis and B. Wright have even pitted once, the Mercedes has now pitted twice. Parallax picks up his second 10-second time penalty for crossing the pit exit line. Deadly is back in the pits. Mitch, Epic OJ, this is unbelievable that the wet compound tyres are now pitting again for another set of wet compounds. No, they're coming out on intermediates. They're coming out on intermediates. Every single one of them have pitted for a fresh set of intermediate tyres. Wow. Here's Fanfurness trying to undercut Reese, because I feel like that's where his race is at now. He needs to battle Reese and needs to get in front of Reese. And Reese is actually losing time to Rafasi, who's on 17 lap intermediates, and Reese is on 12 lap on wets. And he's losing time to the Alpine. The pace difference is remarkable. Wow, wow, wow. I am speechless. Here comes Jeffy on the back of AMS Mirko around turn 18 and 19. Is he going to go for the move? He's going to be patient. I tell you what, Super True winner Williams could be going for Drive of the Year here. Yeah, Zora, I've pretty much noticed that. The wets are useless. Reese is pitting. Reese is pitting for fresh intermediate tyres. He has finally come back in for the intermediates. Fanfurness is too far behind though, I think, to catch up to him. So Reese has gone into pit. He knows he has to cover off that strategy from Fanfurness. It is going to be close though. So Reese is coming out of the pit lane on them intermediates. Here comes Fanfurness. Reese is going to come out just in front. It is going to be close though. Fanfurness is going to have heat into them intermediate tyres, but the gap is now only 3 seconds between the Ferrari and the Mercedes. They have now pitted twice as their championship rival is yet to even enter the pit lane. Jeffy boy on the back of Mirko. What about Deadly on the back of Nick? I don't remember the last time I've seen a race like this, where nobody knows what strategy to go on, nobody knows what tyre to go on, people are going for wrong strategies and losing time, and it is just, we have no idea. And the only drivers that have got this right are the two McLarens, the Williams, the Mercedes, and potentially the Red Bull. But he's now on wet compound, so it completely depends now. Hackmore's back into the pit lane. Hackmore is pitting off the wets and back onto the intermediates. Mr. Could the Inters up front go for the whole race? Potentially. Rafasi is into the pit lane. Now he's finally pitting. So Hackmore is back on intermediates. Is Rafasi going to go on to a fresh set of intermediates? He is. Rafasi is going for a fresh set of intermediates. Rafasi on his debut here in the Alpine has put in an absolute scorcher. Jeffy Boy on the back of Mirko, they tangle. The Red Bull and the Mercedes do touch and they nearly go sliding into the wall. Surely they're not going to throw their races away at this point. They've got a free pit stop to the drivers behind now. They cannot be throwing away the race this easily. Here comes Deadly. He's in that Sauber sandwich as we go down towards Shears at turn 1. A Sauber on the inside and outside as they go pirouetting through turn 1. Can Deadly get the move done? Nick is wheel to wheel with the Racing Bull of Epic OJ, who gets through and up to P13. Deadly still chasing down Mitch, but what a move from that V-cab. Jeffy Boy is also through. The Red Bull driver on the Mercedes finally gets that done, and he's up to P4. Wow, so are the wets starting to play? Imagine all the drivers have pitted for intermediates and the wet compound tyre starts to be the prime tyre. It's just, I just don't even know what's going on. Oh, the Ferrari hits the back of the Alpine. That is Reese on the back of Rafasi. So Reese hasn't even got past Rafasi with that undercut. Wow. So Reese and Rafasi on them intermediate tyres. And this is even more detrimental to the Ferrari's race. Here he comes. He's going to try and go around the outside. They touch in towards turn 16 and 17. The Ferrari goes off the track. He does go through, gets a 3-second time penalty and potentially an illegal overtake. Goldman's is into the pit lane. Reese is slowing down. He's got to let the Alpine back through. That's even more costly. Goldman's is there. Parallax is out. He's crashed it, and that is a safety car. Safety car. Parallax, after his 6th pit stop, has binned it into the wall. Sorry guys, I will look into that straight away, Alvaro. I'm not sure what's happened, but yeah, Reese into the pit lane for a new front wing. Yeah, the weather's still into us. It's absolutely crazy. I don't know what's going on. I've never seen a race like it. I really haven't. No, you're okay, Alvaro. If somebody's done that, yeah, we need to know. I will look into it straight after the race, mate. I know he's raced in T1 a few times. He's usually all right when he's raced. But yeah, I hope that's not the case. So 8 laps remaining here in Singapore. That's what's been one of the strangest races. Double Haas DNF. So they are all starting to group up again. The safety car's in. The safety car's in. Not everybody is caught up and the safety car is in. Hackmore did catch up though. So they are back off and racing once again. So the two McLarens, to the Williams, to the Red Bull, the Mercedes and the Ferrari. Mirko has managed to get up to P5. What a Grand Prix. So here comes Hackmore on them intermediates. Can he get through on the Mercedes? Out of turn 3, down towards turn 4 and 5. The Williams of Super Turbo in a podium position. So yeah, they've not caught up Nimble. It's a remarkable Grand Prix. Rafasi in the Alpine in P7. Then comes Fanfness, who is now back in front of Reese as your championship leader. So Jeffy boy in the Red Bull will have to find a way through on that Williams if he wants the podium, but he'll have to be patient about it. Same with Hackmore in P6, the man that started on pole position, which seems like an eternity ago. The Red Bull goes deep, so does the Mercedes. Fanfness, Goldmans and Mitch, 15 seconds. So, Epic OJ on the back of Deadly, and then Reese. I cannot believe how bad this race has gone for the Tier 1 World Champion. Jeffy boy on the back of Super Turbo. Nick picked up a 3-second time penalty. What about Fanfness on Rafasi? Around turn 18 and 19, he gets a good exit. Here comes the Mercedes driver. He's got the straight line speed. Is he going to go for the move up the inside of Shears at turn 1? Later on the brakes, wheel to wheel. The Alpine turns in. They do touch and the Red Bull has collided. Goldmans has got damage. Rafasi in the Alpine collides with the Mercedes, and that is Goldmans that gets damage. Epic OJ picks up a time penalty. It is drama at the late stages of this race. So it's a really challenging race for these drivers. I do feel for them this evening. But as I said previously, if Super Turbo gets a podium here, this could be drive of the season. I've never quite seen a race where the drivers are so spread out like this, even after a safety car. So the Red Bull of Jeffy knows that his target is that Williams in front. But it's so hard to overtake, but the Williams makes a mistake, but he corrects it pretty swiftly. Epic OJ. Catching up to Deadly, who has a bit of a snap coming out of turn 19. Jeffy Boy and Super Turbo going at it. This is for the podiums. The wheel to wheel, nothing to separate them. The Williams goes up the inside and he is back through. And he is defending for his life. He wants to stand on them top 3 steps. Through Padang at turn 9, down towards the Singapore Sling. Is the Red Bull going to go for it again? Not this time. He'll have to bide his time and be patient. And Hackmore 1.1 behind Mirko. And that is another yellow flag. Epic OJ on the back of Deadly. That is Nick. Just going down the pit straight. Through Shears at turn 1 in towards turn 2 and 3. That is Epic OJ that is through on Deadly. The Aston Martin driver down to P12. Mitch is still having a good race beyond. He's up to P9. Nick's a good driver. I'm sure he'll be able to recover. Coming out of turn 5 now. He just needs to stabilise himself, get his grip back, get his composure back. He's a good driver, Nick. One of the best. That's why he was with Ferrari for so long. He is slipping and sliding everywhere. He needs to be careful on that throttle through turn 7. And you can see how much he's struggling. He needs to be careful on the throttle. So 4 laps remaining. And Deadly now 1.7 behind Epic OJ, so he's into that free range now, Epic OJ. Hackmore starting to catch up to Mirko. Jeffy does not have damage. Goldman's has damage after smashing into the back of Rafasi. He's got a missing end plate. Epic OJ just clatters into the wall. And you can look how much Nick is struggling. He's really struggling on them intermediates. I don't think so, Banana. I don't know. No, I don't think so. So Hackmore, no, I don't know. No, in towards turn 3. So Super Turbo just needs to fend off Jeffy Boy. Yeah, we'll be doing interviews at the end of the race. Super Turbo now 8 attempts clear. We are on lap 28 of 31. Deadly's already 4 seconds behind Epic OJ. I cannot believe it never went to wet weather conditions. It never went. Hackmore on Mirko. Mirko could be on for driver of the day as well. So You know, every team will always have a bad race. It's what you make of that bad race. And I tell you, Mercedes... Oh, and that's Hackmore! Oh, he's disconnected! No! No, no, no. Did he get damage? He's back in. He's back in. Oh, my God. Just when it was looking like he might be able to get the move on Mirko. Reese is through on Deadly now. Got the move done on the Aston Martin. Jeffy, I tell you what, the Williams of Super Turbo, considering he's in a Williams, he's done such a fantastic job. He really has. And Jeffy has 2.5 laps to try and get through on that Williams for a podium. And Mirko from 19th on the grid. That is an Aston Martin that's round. That is Casper. And he's got a missing end plate, so he's hit the wall. And Nick is chasing him down. Is Jeffy boy going to get this move done? He does have front wing damage. Jeffy does have front wing damage. It's just come up on my screen. So he does have slight front wing damage. That could be the saving grace that Super Turbo needed. So he's not got a missing end plate, but he has got slight front wing damage. So can Super Turbo hold on? This is going to be amazing if he does. Around turn 18 and 19, we go on to lap 30. The Williams driver here in Formula 7 Realistic is on the podium. In towards Shears at turn 1. The Red Bull of Jeffy is not giving it up yet though, as he hits the back of the Williams. And they do touch, and the Williams nearly spins. Is he going to hold on? Jeffy is going for the attack. He backs out as a sign of respect to give Super Turbo a bit more control of that car in front. Wow, that nearly ended in tears as Mirko is watching on from a distance. Nick is through on Casper. The Sauber driver slipping and sliding, going wheel to wheel with the Aston Martin, down in towards the Singapore slick. Nothing to separate them. Look at this racing in the rain under the lights here at the Marina Bay Circuit, and the Aston Martin of Casper is back in front. Fantastic. So, Jeffy and Super Turbo, we are heading on to the final lap. I've not given much thought or much speech into these McLarens, but my goodness, we'll get onto that in a minute. Casper and Nick are going at it once more. They're giving themselves a little battle at the end. And the Sauber driver goes up the inside of the Aston Martin. Once again, getting very close to each other. The Aston Martin gets the better exit. In towards turn 18 and 19, they give each other the room. Casper in the Aston is now back behind the Sauber as Nick goes through. But it's the straight line speed of Casper that will potentially bring him back in towards Shears at turn 1. And Nick leaves the space, returns the favour to Casper. But it is the kick Sauber that's through. So, getting on to these McLarens as we head up to the final lap of the race. If ever you wanted a strategy to go perfectly, that is exactly what the Papayas have done here this evening. They have got it to perfection. B-Right leads to Lewis W. The Williams of Super Turbo is on for a podium. Casper and Nick are going at it. Mitch picks up a time penalty. Nick hits the wall though. And in towards the Singapore Sling. And they are still racing. What about Jeffy? He's not catching up to that Williams. Casper and Nick, the Sauber nearly spins it, and the Aston Martin driver is starting to close that gap out of turn 13 up towards Connaught at turn 14. The Aston Martin of Casper goes later on the brakes and up the inside. The Sauber will have the grip though, but the Aston Martin will have the speed, and there's literally an inch between them as they go around turn 15 and head in towards the final two corners, in towards 16 and 17, and then 18 and 19. They still have a lap in front of them. Super Trubo has picked up a 3-second time penalty in the final sector of the final lap, and Jeffy Boy is going to pick a podium. He doesn't deserve that, but B-Right comes through to win the Singapore Grand Prix. Lewis takes P2, and Super Turbo, with the drive of the season, is going to drop down to P5. Jeffy Boy takes a podium. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. This is massive in terms of the Drivers' Championship. So they are going to come through. The Aston Martin just cuts over the chicane, and Nick will slide through the line. And Casper will come through and reverse through the line. And there we have it. Well, that is one of the best wet races I've ever watched. Yeah, I mean, you can't not give True Ball Driver a day, can you? There you have it, a 1-2 for McLaren. Driver of the day could have gone to Merkel, to be honest, quite easily as well. Let me just put the stats in. B-Right, Lewis, Jeffy, Merkel, Super Turbo, Dennis, Fanfness, Rafati, Mitch. Who was the other Red Bull? That was Goldman's. Then you had the Racing Bull of Epic OJ, then the Ferrari of Reese. And then Deadly in the Aston Martin, Casper. 15 was Nick. Then Parallax in 17. 18 was Zora War. Sorry, 17. Crab Boys was 18. Which is AE Cryptic. And then 19 was Maxi Block. It's not Sleep. Well, it was Sleep, but it's not. Maxi Block in the house. Sorry, 1 second. I just need to put all this down before I end the race. And the driver of the day is Super Turbo. Okay, we will move on to interviews. Jesus, wow. 1 second, guys. Yeah, I have to turn the music down, otherwise it copyrights the video. I mean, it don't matter anyway if it copyrights it because um sorry, 1 second. It doesn't matter anyway if it copyrights it um, because I don't put adverts on it. I've just messed something up. 1 second. So Maxi was there in the Haas DNF, and he was 19. Let me just see if that does that. Is Super Turbo in here?
Do you want him in?
Well, oh no, sorry, no, I thought he was on the
Yeah, it was
podium.
Jeffy at
Sorry,
the
yeah,
top.
yeah, it was Jeffy. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, 1 second. Is Jeffy in here?
No.
No.
You want me to tag him and see if he wants to join?
Yeah, he can do it. I'm bloody absolutely sweating. Oh God. Yeah, Turbo. I was gutted for you. You deserve that, to be honest. Crazy race though.
Mm-hmm. Can you send him an invite to the party, Nathan?
Yeah. 1 second. Why has that already been saved as a pole position? 1 second. Oh God, I'm sweating. Oh no, I can't because he's not on PlayStation, is he? He's not on
I thought he
PlayStation.
was on PlayStation.
No, he's not.
Oh.
Right, okie dokie. So, is Lewis in?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
here, mate. I'm here.
No problem. Right, we will start off with your P2 driver. Lewis, talk us through that hectic race, the strategy, the consistency, and just everything about it.
Unbelievable, mate. Honestly, just finally a bit of practice paid off. We figured out that the inters would always be fast on the wets. We figured out they'd probably go to the end. Obviously, the safety car changed that, and we could get a free pit stop onto the fresh ones. But no pressure all race, just kept it in a straight line and got it over the line. Unbelievable, mate. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it was just incredible. So obviously you knew that everybody was pitting, they were going for the wets. Was the plan always just to stay on the intermediates?
Yeah, mate. Our plan was just to go all the way to the end on one set.
And then obviously that safety car came out, and then that changed.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. We had a free pit stop. We could double stack, so obviously we just took the opportunity to get some fresh ones on.
Absolutely. And your pace tonight, wow, you literally hung it right there from the race start as well, and then all the way throughout the race. You were right there with your teammate.
Yeah, mate. I'm not sure what happened because normally I'm quite a bit back, aren't I? Both here and tier one. So yeah, it's nice to get back to where I feel like I belong.
Yeah, absolutely, and you do belong there as well. You were super consistent. Were you dreading it a little bit when you seen the yellow flag and you seen the safety car?
You know what? I knew we had the free stop, so I thought we were pretty safe. I knew everyone else behind us had pitted apart from Trubo, so we still had the fresher tyres out the lot, so I
Yeah.
knew we could just push on and get the job done.
And then just the start of the race as well. You qualified in P3, so you were already in front of Reese as well in qualifying. So was there a strategy before all of that happened as to like what you were going to do throughout the race, and then you got through all the hectic bit, and you were in a comfortable position until everyone started pitting anyway.
Yeah, mate. Obviously, I knew I had like Reece and Fant behind me, so at the start I was a bit concerned that their pace would be a bit too much for me. But after a few laps, I realised I was on par, so just pushed on, kept it consistent, like you said, and yeah, just pretty much followed Ben around the whole time.
Yeah, you did, and even on the safety car restart as well, you had that Williams behind you, and
Yeah,
then obviously you had that gap towards Mirko and Fanfurness, sorry, and then Dennis and Fanfurness.
yeah,
So you're in a really comfortable position. It was just an absolutely amazing performance, a 1-2 for McLaren. So I just want to say
yeah.
congratulations on a well-deserved podium. It's great to see you back on there, Lewis.
Thank you, mate. I appreciate that. I want to say, obviously, a massive shout out to Ben. Big congratulations to him. Obviously, commiserations to Trubo, who was on for a podium until he got his penalty, so that's unfortunate. But yeah, good race overall.
No, absolutely was. Well done, Lewis.
Thank you, mate.
Cheers, mate. So we will move on to your race winner here in Singapore. B right, how was that one?
The Vamos! Vamos! Yes!
Vamos! Mate, what an unbelievable Grand Prix, an unbelievable display of consistency, of teamwork, of durability. Just talk us through that one, mate.
Absolutely buzzing. It's not about myself tonight. It's about my teammates and Super Trubo as well. He's obviously a reserve at McLaren. Honestly, Nathan, like I got a lump in my throat, bro. Like I've been waiting for this moment with Lewis for a very, very long time. Everyone knows we're best mates in F7, and to do this with him is a dream come true.
Absolutely, mate, and the whole strategy worked. You stayed on the intermediates, everything
Yeah.
just paid off, and then the safety car came out, people couldn't catch up. There was the Ferraris and the Mercedes had already done 2 stops by the time you even did one.
Yeah, we knew the strategy from last night. I did a little bit of homework for the boys, and we just said coming into this tonight, what do we have to lose? We're going to do the zero stop. There was going to be no pit stops at all. We seen it when we seen people boxing. It was a dream for me and Lewis. Me and Lewis were only talking half hour before the race in. Mate, tonight might be it, and we've gone and done it, and. Yeah, honestly, I could break down in tears. But I'm not going to do that. And shout out to Jamie as well for just giving us this opportunity to drive such a great car, and having faith in us. You know, even though when we get bad results, he keeps the positivity. And the main thing is as well is just we work together so well, the three of us, and the four of us are true, but I can't leave them out as well.
Yeah, it was just an amazing performance. It really was. The strategy was just perfect. Obviously, talking about the championship,
Yeah.
you took quite a few points out of Fanfurness today, and Reese didn't even finish in the points. So, uh, all in all, it's been a really good night for you personally, on a personal level, and McLaren overall. Where are your thoughts going moving forward now?
Yeah, was it 19 or 18 points tonight? That's a massive gap. Just got to keep trying to finish ahead of Fanth. I've seen from the past couple of races, the pace hasn't been too there. He did have it in Monza, but obviously I wasn't there to try and put a little bit of pressure on him. I think he just knew going into that race that he just had to finish, and he did finish P2, so that was great for him. Yeah, listen, just taking it race by race, Nathan. There's a couple of sprint races to come. I don't think it's going to be so easy for the Mercedes driver, really. But listen, we still got the Ferraris there as well. Not to forget, Dennis got pole position tonight, and we now have quick races. I just think tonight that we got the strategy right, and we also just got to keep in the back of our minds how quick they are and how quick Fanfurness and Mirko are. So anything is still to play for, but tonight it was all McLaren, and I got a smile from ear to ear, and I'm so proud of the boys, especially Lewis. He's been really hunting for this. He could have got past me tonight, probably. But he does everything for the team and he does everything for myself. And yeah, listen, I get on so well with him. He's such a great friend to have. And yeah, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. And shout out to Jamie as well, because Jamie does a lot for us and he definitely deserves an interview tonight.
No, absolutely. It was definitely deserved from both of you. The strategy paid off, and it just goes to show that the practice, the practice pays off in the end, and that's exactly what you did, and you performed, and it's all right being at the front, but then you've still got to avoid making them slight mistakes. The conditions are
Yeah.
really bad as well, so. An
Yeah,
amazing performance, mate. I
yeah, it
mean,
was
just talk us through the conditions. How hard was it?
um sort of lap 17 onwards, that's where you started to snap and you really had to correct it. When I boxed, I had 46 degrees on my front tires. They just wouldn't heat up. I was saying to the boys, I got a steering wheel issue here, and thankfully it was just because the tyres went in the window. Lewis had more pace then at the start as well, so he really could have done something special tonight. Shout out Mr. Reese, he said I watched his Monza race as well. But nah, listen, it's not just about me, it's about Lewis, it's about Trubo. You've got to feel sorry for him tonight. It's yeah, it's about a lot of people. It's just not about me. The championship fight's back on, which I'm absolutely buzzing for. I've put myself in a great position this season, not in just this and Tier 1. So let's see what happens. I'm hoping to take the lot.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on an amazing victory, an amazing drive, and a brilliant performance. Well done, B-Right.
Thank you, mate.
Cheers, Ben. So we will move on, and we will just have a quick interview with the McLaren team principal. Banana, what a performance. A 1-2 from your drivers, a perfect strategy, perfect engineering. Just talk us how you're feeling.
I mean, I can't really enjoy tonight, mainly because of what happened with Turbo in the final couple sectors. It's a massive shame to see.
Right at the end as well, yeah.
Yeah, he tried so hard to keep that P3 ahead of Jeffy, and then as soon as I was watching his onboard, I seen him go ever so slightly left of the white line, and I was instantly knew that he was getting a 3. And from there, like, I just couldn't celebrate. Like, I heard Ben, I heard Lewis celebrating, but I just had to join Turbo in the defeat and the fact that he's managed to get that 3-second time penalty towards the end of the session.
No, I know it was so brutal as well, especially on the final lap and the final sector. In terms of the actual race itself, a great performance from your drivers. It's give you a real good stead in the constructors now.
Yeah, I mean, after tonight, we're maybe about 15 points, 10 points. Not that. What am I saying? We're 40 points behind. Well, 38 points behind Fan finishing the constructors champions. But heading into next week, I mean, we're flying ahead of everyone else in the constructors. I mean, that's a massive gap that Mercedes have got to catch, and I feel like we've got this in the bag for the constructors, and I just hope Ben can do it for the drivers.
No, I agree, mate, and it takes a lot of dedication being the team principal, a lot of work behind the scenes, and when it pays off and you get a 1-2, surely that feels amazing at the end of the race.
Yeah, it's good to see that the two drivers that I've selected for so long are finally providing the stuff that McLaren should be getting. And with the lineup I had last season of Ben and Lewis, I knew that this team was going to work, and it still is. We're still fighting, we're still going, and I don't think anybody's going to be able to stop us.
No, absolutely. Well, it'll be interesting to see the end of the season and see the battles continue, but a great performance from the McLaren team, so well done on that, Banana.
Thank you, Nathan.
Cheers, mate. So there you have it, your podium sitters for Singapore. What a race, what a performance. We had everything you could possibly ask for, and it was great to watch. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We will be back on Sunday for the Tier 1, Tier 2 and Tier 3 Grand Prix. Thank you all so much for your support, and have a great week, everybody.